Uploaded, did it work?
So click confirm.
Rakesh, I have tried uploading again. Can you please check?
Just a second.
Or maybe I can share my screen if possible when I'm doing the presentation.
No, sir, it's not yet uploaded. So
you are going and saying manage presentation and uploading, and the button you are clicking upload.
Yeah. And it starts upload and 20, 30, 40, 50% and it disappears the message.
Is it so one thing which is there is you'll not be able to use builds, so it'll be best to send it to
I can see it on the screen.
Yeah, so it has been uploaded.
Yeah, I mean that way I can, yeah, even I'm able to see. So I think it's there.
It's there. Done.
Srikanth, can you just so basically I'll start, and how long do you want me to talk?
7 minutes. So I'll ask you a question first,
Okay.
right? About the animation industry itself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can talk for about 7 minutes to run through this presentation.
Hi Pradeep, I'm trying to log in.
Okay, we go live in 5 minutes. 3 or 5 we start.
Okay.
And just think over here where I've said hi, this is the place where we'll be, having the questions and anything that we want to chat amongst ourselves, which is the speaker and others. That'll be there. Hi, Deja.
Hi Srikanth, hi Rajat, and hi Rajiv. How are you?
Hi. Hi, Nija. How are you? Very good.
So, Nija, I will just introduce quickly. I'll call you on to introduce 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧 and then task, and then we get into the whole thing, right?
Yeah. Yes.
As usual. Wonderful. Good. We don't have a standard presentation this time, Nija. Template.
I think the standard presentation is missing this time. Yeah.
Okay. No worries. But when is the next one? 15th.
It is on 24th. So we will tell it's on full stack.
24th. Okay. And that's on?
It's on Friday, 24th.
Yeah. And what is it about?
Full stack.
Full stack. Okay. Okay, good.
Rakesh,
sir,
just give me a moment.
Rajat, your presentation is already there. So once
Yeah.
I call upon you, Rakesh will automatically get your presentation on, and you'll be able to
Sure.
Run it.
Okay. There's one video I would like to present, if possible, and I'm just sending a link to Rakesh here, and if you can upload that video and play. It's about 2.5 minutes long, but let me know. Rakesh,
And you want it to be played, so you'll need to give the cue when you want it to be played.
Sure. Initially itself, before, so that's the thing what we are working on right now, which I just wanted to show people. So
Party night, is it?
Yeah, party night. So the metaverse part. So just that, and then we can present the rest of the thing, which is more about the industry in general and all that. You can open this, Rakesh, right?
Yes, sir. Just a second.
So there's a 63 MB video. Yeah.
Yes. Sir, is it available on YouTube or any other channel? Because Drive is asking the login details, so that's why it's not supporting.
Login detail in the sense, I think I shared the open link.
No, we can't directly access the this link.
No, I thought you can download this and play. Regardless, I'll just yeah.
Probably he will need the permission from your side to download it.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just.
This is Google, so it has to be a Gmail ID.
Yeah. So if you can provide me that ID.
Rakesh, please give your Gmail ID. Okay. Shall we start?
Absolutely. Okay. Everybody has the editor access, so he can download this now. So
Yeah,
regardless, with the same link. Yeah, perfectly. I don't need your ID. Yeah, we can start. Yeah.
Great. So a very good afternoon to all the people who are there on this webinar today. Welcome to the 𝗖𝗍 Task WINTalk series, where the acronym WIN stands for What Industries Need. And after doing all the heavy stuff, which is more in terms of DevOps and everything else, we thought let's look at the fun side of it and talk about animation and gaming. And that's where today it's indeed a pleasure for me to welcome all of you, all the management of various colleges, all the faculty members, the TPOs, the students. Welcome to this WINTalk series on animation and gaming. Before I start, I would like to ask my partner 𝗖𝗍 to introduce 𝗖𝗍 to all the people on today's webinar.
It's a pleasure, Shrikant. Thank you. And on behalf of 𝗖𝗍, warm welcome to Rajiv and Rajat, both who we had the privilege of hosting during the design summits in the past. And it's very nice to see them once again. 𝗖𝗍 is a 30-year-old unique industry initiative that strives to bring together the various IT and ITS organizations together under one umbrella in Telangana. It helps in networking, sharing knowledge, and they work very closely with the government, the academia, and the other industry stakeholders. So one of the key focus areas for 𝗖𝗍 in the last 3 decades has been to improve the employability of the talent that emerges out of engineering colleges in Telangana. So we have a dedicated forum called the Industry Academia Forum, which work towards this. And WINTalk series is part of that initiative where we want to bring the talent of Telangana and the industry of Telangana, connect them through a bridge and improve the employability. And animation and gaming, I think it's catching up so fast, and we don't want the students to be not aware of the opportunities that they have in this area. So we couldn't have found 2 better ambassadors for animation and gaming. Rajiv and Rajat, welcome. It's very nice to see you back again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nirja.
Thank you, Nirja. So just before I dive into the session, a quick helicopter view about 𝗧 itself. 𝗧 was created in 2014 along with the bifurcation of the state itself. So we just completed our 8th anniversary on 2nd June 2022. We have 718 colleges who are registered with 𝗧. Every year close to, and last year also, close to 30,000 plus students signed up for 𝗧. And till now, about 6.5 lakh students have benefited from various programs from 𝗧. We did about 124 job melas and job fairs and job drives last year. And this year also, we are going to do similar efforts. We work with 80 plus corporates, trying to bridge the gap between the academia as well as the industry. And this WINTalk series is part of the initiative where we are trying to do the same thing, try to help.
Shrikant, your voice is breaking in between. We're not able to hear you.
Sorry, I'll come closer to the thing. Sorry, as I said, I'm in Bangalore today. I was a speaker, just finished my panel a couple of minutes ago at the India Education and Skill Summit. So as I was mentioning, that this is part of the initiative where we said, let's help our students understand what job opportunities exist in different domains of the ITES sector itself. And that's where today we have, if I look at it, more than 50 years or practically 50 years of experience in animation and gaming sitting in this room itself. And on that note, let me introduce our first panelist, Rajiv is also known as Sita Rama Rajiv, and he is the founder of and CEO of Hyderabad-based Green Gold Animation and the creator of few cartoons. And I'm sure if I mention 𝗂𝗽𝗋𝗄, all of you would be smiling because that is what you used to watch as a kid. So 𝗂𝗽𝗋 plus Krishna and some multiple things he has been doing. Rajiv was conferred with the Honorary Doctorate of Human Letters by the Academy of Art, University, San Francisco in 2016. He was the recipient of the 2000 School of Computing and Engineering Alumni Achievement Award of University of Missouri, Kansas. His first break came in with an animation series called Bongo. I'm not sure how many of you have heard about it, but it was about an alien landing on Earth. Then Vikram Vetal, and rest is all history. And I'm sure now, of course, if you look at it, he has been working into multiple things and in 2D, 3D animation. So welcome to this WINTalk series, Rajiv.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now it's again a pleasure and a privilege to introduce the other gentleman who needs no introduction again, especially in the gaming. And I'm sure a lot of you would be playing the games that have been created by our next panelist, Mr. Rajat Ojha. And Rajat is, is the CEO of Gametronics. Comes with over 26 years of experience in gaming itself. And yesterday we were having a discussion where he mentioned that earlier he used to also be in serious gamings, and then he did a lot of other things also. Rajat has worked on marquee titles like Resident Evil, Battlefield, STS, and many others.
I think, Rakesh, can you please switch off the video?
Rakesh, just 30 seconds more while I introduce him and probably later introduce his work. So Rajat is also credited with India's first PlayStation.
Rakesh, can you hear us?
Rakesh, can you hear me?
He's super excited.
I think you got excited to see the word party.
Yeah, it seems like.
So, as I said, Rajat was also credited with creating India's first PlayStation game and the first virtual reality game also. A leading light in his industry, So welcome, Rajat.
Thank you very
The
much.
WINTalk
Srikanth.
series. And
Thank you.
currently, Rajat is busy developing what you were just hearing right now and seeing right now, which was the India's first Apna metaverse called Party Night, which we will hear more about when Rajat comes online. So let me start with you, Rajiv, because animation, 2D, 3D, is something which is being spoken about for a very, very long time. In Telangana also, we are coming up with the image tower, right? And so help us understand the animation industry and the potential it holds so that our students also aspire to become part of this industry. Over to you, Rajiv.
Thank you, and thank you, 𝗖𝗍, and thank you, Task, for having me here. I am excited about talking about the possibilities, and I think whenever I talk with students, it always excites me because India's future is in this field of animation, visual effects, or gaming. I feel it's pretty bright, and in the last decade, I have seen India grow from just from a country which is struggling to produce animation content to a country that has become a kind of destination for creating animation content. I think long time back, we had seen that India didn't have the right manpower. So that was about 2 decades ago. But in the last 4 or 5 years, I see that so much new manpower, trained, untrained, as well as experienced candidates have come out of this industry. So before I talk more about animation, a brief about Green Gold so that the viewers also understand what we are doing. Currently, this is our office infrastructure and picture of our staff, of course, taken pre-COVID, and that's why you don't see anyone wearing masks. And then just a little bit about what we are into. Of course, our base of the company is that we are producing animation content. And then there are other elements that we are working on, like licensing and merchandising. Then the content that is created by us, we're distributing to various platforms from digital to OTT to satellite, both India and internationally. We do events around based on Beam. And in post the pandemic or during the pandemic, we also started 2 new divisions inside of Green Gold, and which is visual effects and films. Majorly we understood that there is a huge demand that is coming in the areas of visual effects and films, and especially with India, the mobile OTT platform exploding and the viewing increasing. I think we saw a huge opportunity there, and we started to increase our focus in that areas. So we have, like I mentioned to you earlier, we have wide variety of things that we are working on, including producing soft toys. And then for any of our gaming or technology requirements, we reach out to Gametronics, which is a J.I.T.S company. And then we also are working with a Kolkata-based studio called Wacky Toons. And locally, we also have our own gaming studio, which produces flash game, very small team, under the banner of 𝗬𝗎 Entertainment. So overall, our journey, like I wanted to also give a snapshot of how the market has been in the last 7 years. I had to take 7 years than a normal 5 years because COVID has impacted us. I mean, like all industries, animation was also affected, but not as badly as visual effects or films have been affected. So if you see this chart from 2015 to year on year, we almost kind of grew, at least on an average of 50%. So we went from 242 in 2015 to about, in 4 years, pre-COVID, to 795. So that is like 300% growth in like 4 years. And then COVID hit, and then we had to drop down a bit. We had to slow down a bit and adjust to the market needs. So we had to drop down by 30%. And 2021 was also a tough year for us. We had further dropped down by 15%. And then we're back to now being normal. We have as of January of this year, I think we rehired a lot of people, and then we are back to being at about 650. And I think by the end of the year, we will be around the numbers of what it was pre-COVID. To also add to that, altogether, indirectly or directly, we have almost close to 1,200 people in Hyderabad and Kolkata and other companies that we are working with. Again, like in terms of revenue, because it's very important to understand that employment is created when the revenue starts to increase. So if you remember the previous slide you saw, there were, we have increased employment. So similarly, the revenue also increases, and it's usually directly proportional to the animation, the employment numbers, and especially in the animation industry. So we saw from like 2015, year-on-year growth, around average of 30%, 35%. And then of course, like when COVID hit us, we took a hitting of 30%, very similar to the employment lost also. 30% of the employees we lost, 30% was hit. And then 2022 wasn't bad. We just, revenues wise, we kind of stayed with 2021. But this year we are back to being normal, and we're probably going to hit the numbers of 2020. And one important thing for us to observe is that as a company, we had a different approach from other companies, and we've been primarily a company that is creating its own content, and that has been also the success mantra for Green Gold. And so far, like over the years, we started way back in 2001, and but we haven't calculated all that. But from 2012 to in the last decade, we have produced about 35,000 minutes of animation content, of which almost 80%, about 27,000 minutes, is on content that is produced for domestic and pretty much our own content. And we've been lucky because we had our brand ambassador 𝗵, and we had various multiple shows created around 𝗵, from Chota Bheem to Mighty Little Bheem to Super Bheem to Mighty Raju, Arjun the Prince of Bali. All these have been born out of the show of one successful show, and it's very, very important that for our domestic industry to understand the content creation, the creator space, the IP, which is intellectual property. This space is very key, especially in I think in domestic industry, and that is what India needs. And going back to kind of our distribution on digital on YouTube, we have more than 25 million subscribers, and altogether we have almost 110 million views on an average every month. And to talk about the kind of companies that we work with, so pretty much the who's who of the world, we have been working with the top media companies in the world, from Netflix to Amazon Prime to Disney to Nickelodeon to Sony to Warner. So pretty much the who's who of the world we have worked with. And of course, we have worked on multiple shows, over 20 shows. We have worked on almost 6, out of which we have about 14 shows that we created. And a lot of these have been created for domestic market. But of course, the success of Mighty Little Bheem, this is our first international production, and it is also India's first Netflix original for kids. And once we did that, suddenly our market grew from 7-8 countries to our reach group, basically from 7-8 countries to pretty much worldwide. And today we are a presence in 190 countries, and that is primarily due because we're present on OTT platforms, especially Netflix. And in the case of Mighty Little Beam, it has gone on to become the #1 preschool show on Netflix. It's been hit not just in India, but also across North America, South America, Europe, which is the kind of first thing, you know. When is the last time you have heard an Indian product actually do extremely well globally? And it's not just, Beam has not just been #1 for Netflix and not only beat Indian competition, but more importantly, the Western competition as well. So basically, it is competing today with shows created from giants such as Warner Brothers or DreamWorks or Disney and stuff. So it is very hard to kind of get there. But more importantly, we are very proud that we have been able to create all this right here from Hyderabad, and I'm using talent from here, state of Telangana, and a few people from around India, but majorly from Telangana. So I feel very proud that we have been able to accomplish this kind of international success with just Indian talent, which is never even done in international show. So what I realized that we have the talent to be a global player. India has the talent. The Indian kids today, the students, these guys are far more talented than what I saw a decade ago, because I think because of the right training, the right exposure, these guys are doing fantastic. So in the last 2 years, while during COVID, what we have also done, we have done training programs, and some of them with help from Task. We have done these training programs in our studio. We have taken raw talent and trained them, and these guys, surprisingly, in 3 months' time, they were ready to work on international shows. Out of 40 people we trained, there were 10 people who went on to work immediately into productions, and about another 20 people took about 3 more months to get to work on that level. So overall, we had very good success in this area. For in the student point of view, I think there is great opportunities in the 2D, 3D as well as visual effects area. I think I'm leaving gaming out because Rajat is going to talk about it, I'm sure. So in terms of 2D, I think the skill sets. Shrikantji, should I continue another minute?
No, what I was thinking is I'll probably come back to you.
Okay.
With the skills and the job roles, etc. As the next question, because I think this thing that you have given right now, let the people digest that, and let me move on to Rajat in the meantime.
Sure.
So Rajat, help us understand the gaming industry.
Cool. So yes, can you put up my presentation, please? So yeah, here it looks perfect. So yeah, once again, thanks Shrikant for this opportunity. We are a Hyderabad studio, and just 5 floors below Rajiv's, and Rajiv is also part of it.
So he's my co-founder. So we partner in this business, and gaming, as we all know, and unlike the animation industry, gaming actually grew during pandemic. And so what I would like to capture is the overall, kind of, a bird eye view over game industry in general, because I think what this industry needs is the first level is the awareness, and post that, we can talk about what we are doing. So, so I'll quickly run through my presentation here. Okay, so very simply put, gaming is, what now thanks to, PUBG and all those people understand, but how we generally see is like where the art and the programming meets, where the left and right brain both work together. We actually create a game. A very interesting example is Spider-Man, which is a very, very popular movie and comic book and all character and all that. But in fact, if you play and if you have played, raise your hand if you have a phone system, if you have played Spider-Man game. That's the classic example because it keeps going back and forth with the movie. And most of the events, in fact, there's a video, but I didn't want to actually put videos in this presentation. So, but usually it connects very well with the movie and most of the events. But what is the difference between a Spider-Man movie and Spider-Man game? In Spider-Man movie, everything is being done by Spider-Man. And in the Spider-Man game, everything is done by you. You are the Spider-Man. And that's the biggest difference. We make you a hero. When we build games, that's what our goal is always, and glorification of you as the player. And that's why we make you do stuff that you'll not be doing otherwise, a lot of like temple run, like can you actually run like that, and at the same time, games like Doom, games like even PUBG, right, cool weapons, killing people, you're not going to do that in real life. I hope so, anyway, so this is how I put it. Again, a few quick facts about the industry, which you should be knowing, and there is no, why don't I see anything here?
The missing image, it says. Okay, I'll come back to that, just in case if it loads. But this is the global market right now. Okay, I see a white screen. Okay, let's stick to this. Okay, so if you can see, this industry is wrecking at about 175.88 billion mark right now. In fact, this previous screen was a very important screen because it actually, compares with the rest of the industries. And I'll give you the stats, which is the largest movie at this moment in the world, in terms of gross revenue. And the statistics say Avatar, which has beaten Avengers again with the re-release of the movie with $2.84 billion overall lifetime revenue of that. Compare that with the largest game. The multiples are absolutely 3x at this moment, which is GTA. Grand Theft Auto, which has clocked over $6 billion lifetime, and it's still going on. Every year, it's adding another $1 billion. So, and it's been quite a while that game has come out. So that's the size of the game industry. So it is far bigger than any other entertainment industry. But and if you see during the even the forecast says 2.204, which is a great increase, but in last 3 years, game industry has been beating the forecast consistently. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be a little higher not because gamers are increasing or anything. There are multiple new use cases of games are coming up, just like serious gaming, as Srikanth was also mentioning. So there's new facets. So suddenly, even a 50-year-old person is bound to play game because our 40-year-old person who is like does not fit into the PUBG kind of thing, but we are still using the same technology, same gamification, same leaderboard kind of statistics what otherwise people will be doing. Even like I have seen some of the industries where oil and rig industry especially, there's constant change of the presentation here. Okay, I'm back on my presentation here. So this is something which is very important, that the new kind of gamers are being added, and that's increasing the number, and that will continue to happen. Now, suddenly there is metaverse, right? So metaverse is actually, introducing absolutely, it will make everybody, because how we see the world is that in 2028, 2030, your phone is not going to have a text interface. Just like in browsers earlier used to have text-based information only, then images came, then the videos came, and all those things. Your phone is not going to have a text interface at all. It's all going to be some sort of world you will go into and explore different kind of things, be it e-commerce, be it video content, be it games.
All those things will be through more experiences, and that's what we are building. As Srikanth initially introduced, if you could hear behind that video being played, we are building Party Night, which is India ka apna metaverse. So we'll talk about it. I'll show some of the footages of that. And the next slide is loading. So yeah, some of the interesting facts. 1.7 million jobs are supported by game industry. 1.7 million types. There are 200 unique careers in game industry. Even if you can solve a Sudoku puzzle, you have a job opportunity in the game industry. You don't necessarily need to be a mathematician or physics champion, or even like a great artist with 3D Studio Max or Maya kind of skill. If you can actually draw something, you're good enough. You can tell stories, you're good enough. There's so many ways you can actually participate in the game industry. So of course, 62,000 jobs are being added, over the next 5 years. And again, the numbers will increase because the use cases are increasing. Some of the things we should know is the less supply and huge demand, because it's ever evolving space. Suddenly you need to learn virtual reality, then you need to learn augmented reality, then you need to learn blockchain, then you need to learn fungible tokens and all those kind of things. Multiple use cases, almost recession proof, which we proved in pandemic, where the entire world was actually, sulking. This industry was going up and up and up. And even in India, one of the classic example which I keep giving, and I'm so proud of that, which does not belong to us, but as an industry, we should celebrate that. A 5-year-old studio, with absolutely almost just $4 million fundraise, not much, got sold for $360 million during this pandemic itself. All the founders were below 30 years old, so they came out, they created something, they ramped up the whole this thing, studio, and sold for $360 million to Swedish MTG Group. A great thing, during pandemic. Of course, get paid to have fun. This is a thing we sell. But once you get into the thing, you understand it's not just all about fun. It's a lot of other things also, which is of course fun eventually, but it's not just about playing games. And making game is a little more than that. And again, bringing left and right brain together. Over to the next slide. These are the key roles. There are a lot of subsets of these: game designers, artists, programmers, and QA. QA are the guys who love to play games. Not necessarily they need to make games. In art, also the similar kind of thing. If you can actually draw, you are the concept artist. You can model in 3D. Texturing is like when we start giving colors and textures to everything what is being built. And again, is when we actually create bones, because when you create everything is kind of static, then we give life to that, and then those are being used in the animations. Why my permission to change slide is gone? Can you change? Okay. Okay. And there are a number of programming roles. It's not just being game programmer. There are various types of programmers. We can talk about it separately. You can take a screenshot for your information. Right now. Can you keep going forward? I think it came back. And forward again. I'm just fast. Okay. Forward again. So yeah, generally it's a passion-driven industry. You should always be aware of trends, what's happening, because this industry moves so fast that your information and everything will go in no time, and it's back to Rajiv's presentation. So okay. So yeah, I'll probably stop it here, and I'll let Rakesh play the video in the interest of time, so we can do a little more interaction here. Can you play the video? So this is something what we're building now. This is the metaverse. Metaverse is a virtual world which is absolutely permissionless. It has its own economy, and there are a lot of brands we are working with, and there are a lot of things which we have done. Can you play the video, please, quickly, Rakesh? Or admin? Yeah. So Rajiv, you should also see, probably you haven't seen this. This has some new interesting. E-commerce company is actually launching a 20,000 stores mall within this. And we are allowing people to create their own costumes. You know, they can go and design your fashion apparel and stuff and then sell it on our platform itself. And this is the immersive trailer. So not just you watch the trailer of the movie, you can participate in it. So instead of seeing a Bahubali trailer, you can see Maheshmati. You can walk around Maheshmati city and you can see the key events happening all around. And you can probably give high five to Prabhas. You never know. You know, and so this is something which, and in fact, there's a movie coming up with Varun Dhawan, and we are doing the immersive trailer of that. So people in the metaverse, in this world, can actually participate and engage with people. So I'll stop here, and so Shrikant can do more interaction, and there must be some questions.
Thanks, Raja. Thanks. That was wonderful, and thanks for sharing. And this metaverse thing also reminded me of something that we did about a decade and a half ago, called as Second Life.
Absolutely, 2003.
2003, yes, exactly. So we had created our avatars, etc. So fantastic. So I think one thing which Rajiv you mentioned is that the skills of people were growing, over the years, and that's how the entire animation industry got fueled. So help us understand what are these skills and what kind of jobs are existing in the animation industry itself.
Yeah, sure. So majorly, I think, so in the animation and VFX space is what I'll address. So one set of skill set is in the area of 2D animation, and wherein your basic skill set has to be drawing. I mean, I think with drawing only you will be able to achieve success in that field. And the better you are at drawing, or again, it not just be drawing, but it could be having a color sense, or kind of having a storytelling sense, or be able to do background painting. And of course, nowadays everybody paints digitally. So if you learn these tools, people who have painting sense can easily take up this thing. So that is one part of the skill set when it comes to 2D. But then when it comes to 3D animation as well as visual effects, these things are great for somebody with creative bent of mind and who are not afraid of using computers, and we are able to basically, even if you do not have a creative bent of mind, if you have the ability to learn front-end softwares, then you're able to basically, using the tools, you're able to create a lot of things. So be it, of course, having observation skills is a must, as you know, you need to pretty much observe everything in your space, and have a brief knowledge of kind of how the world functions, from fire to water, to physics and stuff, human anatomy and all. So all those kinds of things are great. But the good thing about the field is, like, I know there are a lot of institutions who are doing great in the last 5-10 years. I think initially when India started in this sector, it was almost early 2000. And we had some great institutions at that time also teaching good stuff, but there were actually not enough people to join these things, because the future of kids in this wasn't really clear. But today, parents, whether they, like earlier days, we used to find people who were coming where usually who didn't have proper education, or who didn't find the right jobs, and then they came into this industry. That was one type of people. Other type of people who were super talented in drawing or painting and something, and then have come into this field. But today it's a lot different. Today, a kid who is sixth grade, 10, 12 years, is already aware, and is already creating using the latest softwares. Is already able to do it on his own, tell stories and etc. So this new generation of kids are much smarter, and they're born into technology era. So using the tools, they're able to produce content much faster. So now these kids don't need 4 years to be trained. They only need about 3 to 4 months actually to be job ready. Depends on the specification of the job. But again, what I'd like to also propose to task at some point is, at Green Gold, we're happy to kind of look at, some raw students, hire them as interns, and train them to be job ready for in 3 to 4 months, and kind of give them a stipend or something, so that and then when they're ready to go, when they get, we are ready to give them employments. Because in the next 3 to 6 months, we are looking to hire 200 people, especially in people with various skill set, people who can draw, people who cannot draw but have the technology understanding of in the animation, visual effects areas, and students who are coming out, who may be even production, people with production management skills. We have almost 10 openings in that segment itself. If your organization, you don't have creative skills, but you have the desire to be this industry, that is again, and you have good communication skills, that would be an area of to work with, and like in any company, there is again other sectors like HR and accounts and marketing and sales. So that is basically about the present. Can I talk a little bit about the future, what we are seeing, how the trends are?
You're on mute.
Yeah, sure. You can go ahead and talk about future trends also, because technology is all about the future.
Absolutely. I think so. One of the things that things are changing pretty fast in 3D and visual effects with the advent of some new softwares, especially game engine. So all these are getting interconnected, the animation, visual effects, and gaming industry, and engines like game engines like Unreal, Unity, all these have been started being used in animation production, and with which things are becoming faster and cheaper. But at the same time, the storytelling is getting more and more complex. As a creative people still have great opportunities there. In the last decade or so, India has majorly built on their skill set, on their experience, and today I know almost 10 to 15 animation studios inside of Hyderabad who are doing international work. Whereas about 3 years ago, I could count that there were only 1 or 2 studios who were actually doing international. So the demand of international has gone up very high. I think with a lot of course, with the global, the pandemic has played a key role here. And we have seen that, a lot of work to China outsourcing to China has reduced. And this to Russia also after the Ukraine war. And these works started getting diverted more and more to India, because I think India has been one of the most already, most, with the high destination, most preferred animation partner to these Western countries. And now it is doubly sure that this is going to happen. So in the next, like you mentioned earlier about image towers that is being built, and probably it will be ready in a year or so. I think we're going to see Hyderabad becoming and Telangana becoming a bigger hub in this region, and we have to be ready. Of course, COVID has slowed down growth for everyone, but I'm telling you, since August, since we have reopened and things have started to become normal, my schedule has become crazy. Basically, there's no time to do anything for us. Like in lockdown, we had time to do every damn thing in the world. We had time, but post-August, for us, I mean, I'm working 12 hours and it's still not enough. I'm working on Sundays, it's still not enough, because there's that kind of demand. On Monday, I'm going to Annecy, France. So typically in a day, we used to have 4 meetings. Today, we have 20 meetings in a day. So earlier, we used to have three guys traveling, and we used to sit all in one meeting. Now we're splitting and dividing between our this thing. So that has been the kind of demand. So I'll give you pre-COVID, we had 1 international show. Post-COVID, we have 6, or during COVID, we got 6 international shows. And then, which means obviously work comes, we are hiring more people. So Green Gold itself is going to hire 200 people this year. And as I mentioned, that we are also started VFX. I'm hoping that area would also take off, and we will hire more people in that thing. Our current requirement in visual effects itself is like 50 to 75 people. So overall, I think for the students who are looking in this area of working, my advice is also, besides getting themselves trained, they should approach companies like ours and Rajat and other companies for internships. That gives them an opportunity to understand how a company works. Same time for a company also to understand the mindset of the individual. So it's a great win-win scenario. And with this, I conclude.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks. So while some of the skill sets have been spoken about by Rajiv, Rajat, help us understand, the skill sets required for gaming in particular. But just hold on to that for a second. Dear students and everyone else who is on the call, in case you have any questions that you want to ask our experts, please put it in the question box, so that once we are through with our questions, we will take up your questions. Rajat, over to you now.
Awesome. Great insights, Rajiv. So that covers my entire art-related, thing completely. Pretty much the same skill sets, other than, one loose end there that, whatever art you create must be used by game developers like the programmers. So you just need to give keys to the programmer, and that is something what an artist needs to learn. For this particular role, we emphasize a lot on tool programmer or tech artist, we call them technical artists. This is an important role. In fact, for last 10 years, this has been one of the most important roles. Because these people are actually the bridge between the artists and programmers. So because programmers are super logical, they try to see logic everywhere, where artists not necessarily need to see logic. They can make cows fly, and they want to do that, or a fish walk, because they want to do it. And programmers will say, no, fish will never walk, a cow will never fly. So the tool programmers come in between and create the tool set. So the whole communication, not just verbal communication, the tool-to-tool communication becomes so easy. So this is, in fact, some of the games like especially GTA, Grand Theft Auto, 35% team is just the technical artist. And that's such an important role where you understand a bit about both and how these two lines are connected. So quick example, like you're walking on a grass, there should be a different type of sound. You're walking on an iron bridge, the sound will be different. How you actually do that is, triggered, and the tools are created by these, technical artists. So this is something which is very important. Another one which is important is the game designers, right? The game designers are not just the storytellers. They can take the story from the story writers, just like in the animation industry. They actually break it down into playable parts. So they actually create puzzle. So if you understand music, or you understand how the storytelling usually works, you create a conflict and then you resolve the conflict, right? So how do you resolve the conflict in the textual form and the storytelling form? You actually write the entire curve. Here the curve is handed over to the player, right? And how a player is going to decipher that, to the postmortem of that, is the entire thing is written by the game designer, who writes all these kind of different puzzle pieces or the action pieces, which will actually resolve that conflict and what will let you do that. So that's another important aspect. So game designers are they are the only ones who are seeing the game through the end. And that's one of the reasons why communication needs to be the best in the company, because when they are telling about their vision, what they are thinking of the game, they are talking about how the game will look like, how the game will play like, how the user journey will be like, and how the game will end like. And then especially very, very complicated games like Heavy Rain or Detroit Become Human, where there are 60, 70 endings, how the whole decisions are forming different kind of cases and different kind of outcomes. Those need to be written by the game designer. So that's an important role, which so for that you don't need to actually be a great author, or you don't need to be a great programmer or a great artist. You should be a puzzle solver, and your attention to detail and observation skills need to be through the roof, and I remember some of my game designers coming to India and walking around, and they actually talked about certain things which we never bothered to see, like the high tension wires above, and they found it to be so very close to, actually the, surface. And I said, like, no, this is how it is. Because I'm not a game designer like game designers, so I never noticed how high it is in the other countries, but they actually have their own parameter to keep judging. Even the sizes of the tires of the bikes, so and in fact there have been a lot of interesting discussions with them. So yes, attention to detail, observation skills, puzzle solving skills. Play a lot of board games. I emphasize a lot on playing board games, because more board games you play, better game designers you become, like D&D kind of games, which is tabletop largely. That's important. Coming to the engineering side of the thing, C++ is mother of all the languages for us. No matter what you are being taught, please try and learn C++ as much as possible, because getting down and getting your hands dirty is very, very important part in this. And because of course there are newer age game engines which are there, which actually you can just learn something as simple as Python and still make a game. And which is fine, if you want to, just if you have an idea and you want to, showcase that idea to the world, it's a great thing to do. But what's the differentiator here is the game engines keep on evolving and keep on changing. Unreal is here today, probably was not there 2 decades back. Unity is here today, was not there a decade back. Probably a decade later it will not be there. Or something else will come. Back in my time, just like Srikant, I worked on literally created Gamebryo using Gamebryo engine, which had nothing in visual. All you create is using code. So if your foundation is strong, always work on your foundation, because tools and technologies will continue to evolve, change, and getting replaced. If your foundation is strong, you're gonna shine. So your mathematical skills, your physics skills, if you are from the engineering side, even basic thing, you don't need to learn the entire physics. If you are interested in sound, you can just be a sound programmer, which is a very, very thriving role in the game industry, because there is nothing pre-rendered here. So if you are driving in a Need for Speed, you are driving a car, and suddenly a tunnel comes. there is no pre-recorded because you can be driving at whatever speed, right? But the sound completely changes. So there is a lot of sound engineering which goes. There is a lot of graphical engineering. There are physics engineers required. Multiplayer network architecture. So you need to understand the networking, TCP/IP protocol, UDP protocol, and all those things you should be knowing, kind of thing. So there are multiple factors. And AI in itself is such a big, huge, a field in game programming, and it's probably one of the most evolving. When we started with as simple as finite state machine. If you are here, do this. If you are here, do this. If you are here, do this, kind of thing. Today, it's like procedural. The enemies are learning your behavior and changing, everything about and around it. Even the conversation. If I'm sounding annoyed, the way my enemies are going to react is going to be completely different. And if you have played games like Witcher, you know what I'm talking about. So your game will never be the same. This is how, and in fact, some of the examples I gave, how the decisions are constantly changing.
Right.
Definitely. So yes. So engineering, design, and one interesting thing in the game industry is, even if you don't like to make games, you just love to play games, you can be a commentator, you can be a professional gamer, you can be a game journalist, you can be a QA guy. You can just play games which is being developed in the game companies. In fact, at this moment, we are taking help of 350 students of Hyderabad who are testing our metaverse every single day. And we have created these groups going to some of the colleges and some of the institutes where we needed unbiased opinion. And since all these activations which we are doing are pretty time centric, and at the same time the stakes are too high, we didn't want to test it internally, everything. So we are using the help of the student network. So if you want to, please feel free to drop a mail, and we'll add you in our circle, and we pay by the hour. So even if you're like at an absolute early stage of your career, we still pay, and we always do that. And coming back to the internship, even 6th graders actually come for the summer internship to Gametronics. Just now, in fact, a batch of 4 students who just finished 10th standard exam, they came and did internship at our office, because I want people to be aware of what happens. You play PUBG, great. You play Candy Crush, great. But try and understand what goes behind the scene. So
right.
That's
excellent. Thanks, Rajat. Now, of course, there are a whole lot of questions coming in, but just before we move on to the questions, a 2 minutes answer on what are the tools and what are the resources to learn for game development?
So tools, again, as I told, C++, keep that aside, but Unity and Unreal Engine, definitely are the 2 go-to engines at this moment. If you're from the programming side, if you're talking about, I'm assuming that the question is about the programming. Otherwise, Studio Max, Maya, Photoshop, these are definitely required. Resources, today, internet is full of resources. Go on YouTube, learn on your own. Udemy is there, and Academy doesn't have, but Udemy is there, Khan's Academy is there, and they have plethora of information about how the games are created. They'll get you started. But always I suggest that people, even if you don't want to take internship or something, do some studio tour. Talk to your college, ask for a studio tour where you visit and at least spend like 2 to 4 hours. That will suddenly accelerate your learning to some other level. So that's the best resource possible. But other than that, if you are in a city where there are no studios and stuff, YouTube and Behance and all these places where there is join a lot of Discord communities. I am super active on Discord communities, and we don't go out and find people on Naukri.com. No, we find people in Discord communities. We find people on Behance. These are like some of our go-to platform. And yeah, so hope I can answer this question.
Thanks. Rajiv, let me ask you the same question. What do you think could be the resources to learn animation, and what tools should students learn?
I think in terms of resources, I think today everything you can learn on the web. From YouTube, you can try to know how to draw. Example, Chota Bheem, you can figure out how to draw. how to draw animals, etc., etc. So for artists or even people who are in the technology side of animation, I think there is one way to learn is on the web. There is online classes that you can take, especially after the pandemic. This has become very popular. People are learning classes on the web, international schools. Like, you don't have to really go to USA to learn. The same thing can be learned online today, attending those classes from here. And then, of course, locally, obviously, I encourage people to go to the physical school, of course, because this is a physical thing more. And local institutions across Hyderabad or other parts of Telangana or other parts of India, all these are possibilities. Then, of course, a good way to learn is by doing internships, etc. In terms of tools, of course, the basic tools are like Photoshop, After Effects, Adobe Premiere. These are the basic tools that you get started with. Of course, like Photoshop is something that you'll always need in the animation industry. And then besides that, then it goes up to, you know, Flash or Toon Boom on the 2D side of technology, and on the storyboarding side, it's Toon Boom, Storyboard Pro, or Animate, Flash Animate. These are the tools that are being used currently. And on the compositing side, again, it is After Effects or Flash in the 2D side. And then going to the 3D side, you're looking at many softwares actually today, from for modeling, for the pre-production. Basically, Maya is of course there, and besides that, 3D Studio Max and a few other softwares. Then you're also looking at some texturing tools like Mari and stuff. And then you for modeling also, there is there's another software besides Maya, which is Blender, that is free source, which is going to be in demand in the future. Same with Unreal. I think again you can download and learn that for free. And again, on the post side, again, there is Nuke, there is Fusion. These two are the main things. Then of course for FX, there is these same so FX you can use Maya, of course, and on top of that, Houdini and many other softwares. So today it is based on the nature of work. You have to find the software to do it, you know, especially example, you have to create realistic water. You have to find that right software to do it and the right plugin. So a lot of it is out there already.
Wonderful, thanks. So let me quickly rush into the student's question. Probably we'll be stretching it by about 10 minutes. Hope it is okay with you, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. So Sindhu is asking how to start the design and development of a gaming app.
Yeah, I've been answering some of the questions offline here while Rajiv was talking, but come again, what was the question, please? Sorry, I missed.
Question asked by Sindhu is how to start the design and development of a gaming app.
Great. So first of all, how the design works is that you need to have a base story, and then you need to dissect that entire piece into multiple use cases. It can be as simple somebody running collecting point, as simple as that. That's a brief given, right? How do you convert it into a playable thing? How do you dissect it? Is that okay? How do you make it challenging? So you need to understand the curve for the design. That's a full day exercise. But generally, what we do is we take the WH exercise. What, why, when, how, where. So what you're doing, why you're doing, when you're doing, how you're doing. If you answer those questions, you can start dissecting your one-liner into multiple possible scenarios. And when these scenarios come across, you just connect them and with whatever mechanic you want to. So that's the easiest way you can. Always start small. Always start with something what you want to play rather than what the market needs, because you are not in the business yet. And only when you are actually designing something or creating something, So let's say I want to play a game which is in this space, but I'm alone. There is no enemy. There is nothing. So that's the kind of game I want to play. So then I need to actually, my thought process will actually get activated into how I'm going to, design this. What are the challenges I think will happen? I'll watch probably Gravity. I'll do a lot of research. I'll, and some of these movies. I'll even watch the Castaway movie from Tom Hanks and see how we actually survive there and figure out what are the elements which I can. So there is a lot of research, and this research in our business is called 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧, which means, we take the, a lot of information and we combine those together and create one single narrative around it. And it's, that narrative is usually called 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧. So how the different things are played across. And once you have that entire thing built across, you are ready to develop your game using whatever engine. You don't need a very fancy thing also. You can, even Scratch, you can actually develop a game.
Right. The next question is from Anusha. I think we've already spoken about it. What are the technologies, etc. In fact, the last 15-20 minutes we've been talking about that. So I'll pass that. How to decide technology? Any guru mantra that both of you would like to give?
Decide is again, what you're trying to build and what platform it's going on. If something is on mobile, I would always prefer Unity. If something is going on PC, I would always prefer Unreal Engine. If something is going on web, I would prefer probably HTML5. So where I want to play, where I think, it should go, I'll decide technology. And if that technology enables everything what I want to actually showcase, Rajiv can give his guru mantra there.
Yeah. I mean, I think being in this field is like being a doctor, you have to be constantly learning the new things in the market. Because I think by the time you figure out the version 2022, there is version 23, which is completely different. And there is a new software out there that can unlearn everything you have learned in the last 10 years. And just by the click of button, it can execute all those things. So it is crazy. It needs constant learning and stuff. But like earlier, what Rajat said, I think the most important thing is being fundamentally sound, understanding the fundamentals of whatever we are doing, being it of the product. Basically, if it is a gaming product, we need to understand fundamentally, we need to have a plan. Similarly, if it's a kids product of animation, we need to understand basically, ultimately, software is only a tool, and you need to have creative abilities, you need to have storytelling ability, you need to be able to engage the audience. So it is a constant learning. And one thing I would say is working in this industry means you need to be a team player. And I think that is very important. I have seen small companies of 5 to 6 people struggling with internally the teams not getting along with each other. So it's important that we understand this from the beginning, that growth happens by staying and working together.
Fantastic. Thanks. What are the process required for strategic games?
Strategy games or strategic games?
Strategy games.
Strategy games. Oh, strategy games require unbelievable amount of inventory understanding, economy understanding. So this is where the whole thing changes dramatically. So here we're not talking about the physics of the games, we're not talking about the graphics of the game. A strategy game can be absolutely black and white and simple. So all you need to understand is the economy aspect of the game, because that's where the biggest difference comes in the all kind of strategy game you've been talking about or playing so far, because they generally deal a lot with what I should have to overcome this particular scenario, and what how I can entice you to probably have more. So number one understanding is economy, inventory, and then again the biggest role is of the puzzles. And puzzles are usually in a strategy game are divided into two parts. One is tactical and another one is strategical. Tactical only when the situation comes, how you're going to take decision, and strategical because it's a long-term play. All these strategy games usually are very long-form games, and there everything right from the kind of character you build to the kind of inventories and weapon systems and other things you have. I'm sure if you are talking about strategy games, you're aware of Elon Musk's character in Elden Ring, which is absolutely absurd character, will not fly. Understanding how his Elden Ring character is so pathetic is a good enough reason for you to understand that that guy is right now having just fun, because he understands economy really well. But yeah, so if you understand these three things, other than everything else we talked about, I think, a great strategy games can be created. But it's definitely long learning. And I'll give you one quick example. A game which is generally driven from the strategy side is the Oblivion, one of my most favorite game of all time. It took 9 years in pre-production, where they were just devising all the strategies and all those things and stuff, and just 3 years in production. So the amount of work which goes into thinking about that game is so much more than actually, the game development itself. So because getting all the pieces right beforehand is something which is very, very important for anybody to get into strategy games of any sort. Always pre-production will be longer. Always this will be longer than the production itself.
Sure. Thanks. So, of course, someone is wanting to know procedure to get a job in your company, Rajat. So, already people are lining up for you and Rajiv, from this batch.
Currently, Rajat is a superstar in our industry. So, I think he's doing great job. I think that's wonderful that. And then, like you see, he can multitask. Like he was talking, and I didn't even see him type already or so many. For me, it took a while to understand where these questions were there.
Because I did a test run yesterday, so I knew.
Yeah, I'm kind of have a hard stop in like 3-4 minutes. I have.
Yeah, sure. So probably the last question that is there is, what do you see in a game developer, and what is the right mindset to become a game developer? And can India create a game like Raji in upcoming future?
So Raji is created in India, right? So of course, a game like Raji can be created, but can we develop a game like God of War? Yes. We struggled when India didn't know much about games and game industry, but today I think we have very informed, Janta, and there is a lot of push from the government side also. There are a lot of institutes, there are a lot of studios with success stories. So yes, we can definitely do. It requires time, and I think the new age, creators understand that everything takes time. Unlike earlier, days of where we used to do services, so quickly roll out things, for people. But IPs usually take time. So yes, I think we are geared up for that. We can definitely build something like that. And what we look for is we already covered, attention for detail, understanding strong foundation. The right mindset is again, as Rajiv rightly captured, team. Team and communication. Being in the team and communicating your point of view very clearly without, breaking the entire harmony, but still making sure that people, align each other and stuff. Definitely, these are some of the key things.
Thanks. So I think we've already overshot the time, but I think I will not permit you to go unless and until I ask you a fire round question, which is 3 words that you would like to tell our students, right? To inspire them to join. And Rajiv, let me start with you. The animation industry. 3 words.
3 words. I think you have to be persistent, passionate, and hardworking.
Okay, great. Rajat, gaming. 3 words.
Passionate, attention to detail, and love for engineering.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Rajat and Rajiv. It was wonderful talking to you. Of course, there are a whole lot of other questions also there, but I don't think we have the time for it. So really appreciate you taking out time in the interest of the students of Telangana, the youth of Telangana. I'm sure you have been able to convert a lot of people who would have ended up, going to Infosys and then, just continuing over there. You have inspired them to now look at gaming and animation industry. Got nothing against Infosys, but I think this seems to be a much more challenging career. And so if you are up for the challenge, dear students, definitely gaming and animation industry is something that you should aspire for. As educators, it is our duty and right to help our students understand what are the different career opportunities. And under this WINTalk series, that is what our intention has been. And I think if we were doing this as a live class, I'm sure both the speakers would have got a standing ovation. So I will do the honors by doing that. I think thank you very much for sharing all your insights. And in case there are some more questions, we will definitely reach out to you and get these answers as in one. The next WINTalk series would be on full stack development, which is on Friday 24th. So on this note, I would like to thank, of course, our panelists. I'd like to thank 𝗖𝗍, our partner. I'd like to thank all the task team and Okta team who have been involved in bringing this thing. And of course, not to forget Tsat, who is bringing this live to the various homes across Telangana as we were going through this webinar. Also would like to thank all the management, college principals, college faculty members, TPOs, and of course, dear students, for making this webinar extremely successful. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful week ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.